A beautiful weekend to you all. Why is Nigeria becoming the focus of high-level conversation in Europe? And why are global policymakers already looking beyond the next election and asking what kind of nation Nigeria could become after 2027? Those questions took center stage in Berlin, Germany, where Peter Obi participated in a strategic roundtable organized by the European Council of Foreign Relations, ECFR. This was not a campaign rally or a political gathering. It was a forum attended by diplomats, policymakers, business leaders, development experts, international organizations, and members of the global media. The discussion was simple but profound. What does Nigerian future look like, and who will shape it? At a time when the country faced economic hardship, insecurity, and growing public frustration, the international community appears to be paying close attention to the choices Nigeria makes in years ahead. Speaking after the meeting, Peter Obi said the discussion focused on Nigeria beyond 2027, international cooperation, and the country's place in an increasingly interconnected world. According to him, participants explored how stronger partnerships between Nigeria and the international community could accelerate economic growth while improving the lives of ordinary Nigerians.
They say, don't come here. What else do I need to tell you about that end of my life? Are you aware of that?
No, I wasn't.
You know that when I wanted to go to Benue and the governor said, you can't come. You heard that way the governor said I shouldn't come to it. And when I went there was a shootout. So, what do you have to say? If somebody says, don't come to Berlin, and you come to Berlin and they say, what else do you need? Do you need when somebody dies to prove that there's already a shootout going to visit the place? So it's not. You see, when people make genuine.
But beneath those diplomatic conversations lay a much bigger question. Why does a nation blessed with abundant natural resources and one of Africa's largest population continue to struggle with challenges that many countries with fewer advantages have successfully overcome? It is a question that has followed Nigeria for decades and one that continues to dominate conversations both home and abroad. One of the central themes raised during Berlin's discussion was the importance of small and medium-sized enterprises, commonly known as SME. Peter Obi argued that no country achieves sustainable economic growth without empowering small businesses. According to him, SME remains the backbone of every productive economy because they generate employment, encourage innovation, create wealth, and stimulate local production, rather than relying excessively on imports and consumption. Peter Obi believes Nigeria must deliberately create an environment where entrepreneurs, manufacturers, and innovators can thrive. His argument reflects a philosophy he has consistently promoted, that economic transformation begins by supporting those who create value rather than merely consume it. But Obi did not stop at economics alone. According to his statements, discussions also examine democratic institution governance, regional stability, trade, investment, and the rule of law. These issues, he suggested, are interconnected. Investors seek predictable policies. Business requires security. Citizens expect accountable leadership. Development partners want transparency. Without these elements working together, attracting meaningful investment becomes increasingly difficult. For Obi, strengthening institutions is therefore not simply a political objective, but an economic necessity capable of restoring confidence among both Nigerians and international partners. Perhaps the most striking part of Obi's message was his insistence that Nigeria already possesses everything required to become one of the world's leading economies. According to him, the country's greatest challenge is not a shortage of natural resources or talented people, but the quality of leadership. He argued that Nigeria needs leadership that is competent, accountable, and passionate. Leadership willing to prioritize education, healthcare, productive enterprise, and the rule of law over short-term political interests. It is a familiar argument from the former Anambra State governor, but one that continues to resonate with many supporters who believe governance remains Nigeria's biggest obstacle to development. That position naturally raises another important question. If Nigeria has enormous human and natural resources, why has progress remained so slow? Obi's answer is straightforward. He believes successive governments have focused too heavily on consumption rather than production. Instead of building industries capable of creating jobs and generating exports, the country has become increasingly dependent on importing goods that could be produced locally. According to Obi, reversing that trend requires deliberate investment in manufacturing, agriculture, innovation, and productive enterprise capable of expanding the economy while reducing unemployment. The phrase, "from consumption to production," has become central to Obi's economic philosophy, and he repeated that message once again in Berlin. In his view, Nigeria's long-term prosperity depends on moving away from an economy driven primarily by consumption and embracing one built around production, industrialization, and value addition. Such a transformation, he argued, would not only create employment but also strengthen national competitiveness and improve living standard. Whether that vision can be successfully implemented remains a matter of political debate, but it continues to define Obi's broader economic agenda. Another notable aspect of the Berlin Roundtable was the level of international participation. According to Obi, senior representatives of the German federal government, development agencies, business associations, policy institutes, international organizations, and global media outlets attended the discussion. Their presence, he suggested, reflects the strategic importance of Nigeria within Africa and the wider international community. As the continent's most populous nation and one of its largest economies, Nigeria's stability and economic direction inevitably carry implications beyond its borders. That reality explains why international partners continue to monitor development in the country so closely. Obi also emphasized the importance of strengthening bilateral partnerships capable of delivering practical benefits rather than symbolic diplomatic engagements. According to him, corporations should focus on creating jobs, expanding investment opportunities, improving education, strengthening healthcare, and supporting productive businesses. He argued that international partnerships become truly meaningful only when they produce measurable improvements in the lives of ordinary citizens. In other words, diplomacy should not exist merely for photographs and official statements, but should translate into tangible economic opportunities for Nigerians. Supporters of Obi's visions argued that his emphasis on governance, human capital, and economic productivity represent a departure from politics centered primarily on power and patronage. Critics, however, questions whether ambitious reforms can be achieved within Nigeria's complex political environment. They point to persistent institutional challenges, fiscal constraints, and security concerns that have limited previous administrations. Those competing perspectives ensure that Obi's proposal will continue generating debate as Nigeria moves closer to another election cycle. As the Berlin discussion concluded, Peter Obi expressed optimism about Nigeria's future while insisting that optimism alone is not enough. According to him, the country's future depends on deliberate choices involving leadership, governance, fiscal responsibility, and productive partnership with the international community. His message to participants was clear. Nigeria possesses extraordinary potential, but potential alone does not guarantee progress. Whether the country moves from poverty to prosperity, from division to unity, and from consumption to production will ultimately depend on the decision Nigeria makes and the leadership they choose. the conversation in Berlin have taken place thousands of kilometers away, but its central question remains on that every Nigerian must eventually answer. What kind of future does Nigeria truly want? Please like, subscribe to our channel so you never miss our latest updates. I am Chimezrim Okoro, and thanks for watching.